everybody. Welcome to Creative Chat Cafe, the talk show hangout that offers guidance, inspiration, and results for all your marketing, business development, and also leadership needs. I'm Zeph Zen, your host for the show, and I'm looking forward to spending some time with you on this show. And we actually are on, we go on Wednesdays, every Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on entrepreneursthatsoar.com. If you actually look right here where my, my lower third is, you'll get our website where you can go and watch Creative Chat Cafe. And then we also have a hashtag. You can see down here, hashtag Creative Chat Cafe. You can go and Google search it, or you can go to Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and you will find all our shows and track all our shows from this hashtag. So I'm excited today because, I want to welcome our co-host who has the authority on the topic that we're going to talk about today. Really excited. So I want to welcome Kenya Halliburton. Hey, Kenya, how are you?
Hey, Zeph. I'm good. It's great to be back. It's been a while, but I'm excited to share this time with you and everyone today. So,
yeah, I am too. So maybe you can take a short 30 seconds, Kenya, to kind of introduce yourself, because I know you, our audience probably want to know who you are and, what makes you authority on the topic that we're talking today.
Well, I'm Kenya Halliburton of KenyaHalliburton.com. I am an online business manager and content marketing strategist. And so I actually specialize in messaging and marketing and management and bringing those three worlds together to help your business flow and grow smoothly. And about last year, I launched a service called My Content Planner, where I really got my feet wet in content creation and content marketing, and learned a lot about, what works, what doesn't, and a lot of the pitfalls that a lot of people fall into and why they struggle to grow their business around creating content and why that's so hard for them. And so now my mission is to really help people master that area, because it's such an important area, right, Zeph? I mean, as far as, you have, and that's what content is all about, but you have to do it effectively. So that's who I am, and I'm excited to be talking about
content. And I love your content, and you're very savvy about it, and I love your content. So thank you, Kenya. Woohoo! We're excited to have you back, our regular co-host on Creative Chat Cafe. And, folks, if you're doing your own marketing, you and I know, Kenya and I are marketers, and we know this. So if you're doing your own marketing, you probably already know that, getting your audience to perform an action is crucial to the success of your marketing initiative. Am I right, Kenya?
Absolutely, 100% correct.
There you go. There you go. The authority has spoken. Why is it important for us to discuss content? So we'll tell you what we're going to do today. 3 things, all right? First of all, we're going to talk about, we're going to discuss, how to create content that inspires action. So that's the topic for today. And second of all, Kenya and I will give you some tips on how you can do a good job at it, And third of all, the third segment will, provide you with some inspirational resources that we have found to be helpful and may, inspire you to create content that inspires action. So like I said, if you do your own marketing, you know what it is. You have to get your audience to perform certain action in order to be successful in marketing. But the question is, why do we need to discuss content, and why is it important to you? Here's how I look at it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kenya. We can probably drive people to our content, but what's important is actually to get people to perform the measurable actions, because every piece of content we publish out there should be crafted in our mind. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about this.
Right, yeah. That is the critical piece, right? That every piece of content that we produce ties back to some measurable goal. And if you haven't figured out like what you want your content to do, and there's other layers of it as far as it being valuable and inspirational. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But in mind what you want to do. If not, you're going to be wasting your time. So you don't want to go through a lot of trouble,
Absolutely.
writing a bunch of stuff and posting a bunch of stuff, because what happens when you do that is most people experience this, right? This experience of burnout. Like you feel like you're doing
Yeah.
all this stuff and it's not growing your business, and you're like, what the
Yeah.
heck? This stuff is supposed to work. And
Yes, yes. And I was just I actually watched a hangout on air last week by Mia Voss, and she had a panel of people. She's pretty big on hangouts on air, and they were talking about, some of her panelists were talking about, they take so much time in creating content and sometimes they forget to market it. And that's the challenge I think many of us out doing our marketing, when we take so much time, doing our blogs and our social media posts. We want to make sure that what we're doing have return on investment. At least people are responding to what we want them to do, especially taking on measurable actions. And folks, you and I are lucky here today because we have the authority on content today. I mean, this is what Kenya does. So Kenya, let me ask you this. Do you think creating the right content is so much more important than going viral? And if yes, why?
absolutely, I do. And I think that a lot of times we get stuck in that mindset because we hear all this, oh, we want our content to go viral. Viral is great.
Yeah.
But tell people, let's take a step back here, because whenever you're creating content, it always should tie back to some clear goal you set in your business. And so you have what I like to call your platform goals, which usually revolves around establishing leads and sales. Those are the core things that drive
Yes.
your business and performance. And then you have like what I like to call your stair step goals. So those are things that can lead to conversion or sales. So yeah, I mean, if you have viral content that's going viral, that's kind of an indicator that you're on the right track. But what you really want is that viral action actually converting into something you can measure, like you talked about earlier.
Absolutely.
If
Absolutely.
not, if it's just people liking your stuff and sharing it and then going away and saying that was fun, then it's really off or not. It's not really doing anything to further your business and loyalty of the people that you're trying to serve.
True, because we want people, basically, we build a business to grow and then have sales and make money. So that's all measurable action. So if we don't have that content that makes them do those things, we're just wasting our time. And another question I have for you. So we have this all information, like basic understanding of how we should be doing creating content, and how we should be marketing that. So let me ask you this: what kind of content inspires action? All these actions, because it's not easy to develop that content. We can find content anywhere. We can get great ideas, but what kind of content really, in your opinion, inspires action?
First, let me just say that it's important, number one, because content is really difficult. This is, people always tell me, I don't know what to talk about. I don't
Yeah.
know what to write about. What the heck am I supposed to be saying?
Mm,
Um, the first thing that you have to do is you have to understand your brand. You have to
yeah.
understand who you are and what type of experience you want people to have. And
Mm,
that from when you start from that standpoint, it's fairly easy to begin to create content that speaks to the hearts,
yeah.
beliefs, desires, and needs, because that's really what you want to do. You're speaking to those things that your audience wants or needs to make some sort of decision.
Yeah. Our
Um,
audience wants the
and so
experience.
exactly. And so you want those messages to come from the heart of what you believe and why you do what you do. Because
Yes.
without it, you'll just be another, I mean, it's a lot of noise out there, right? So you'll just
Yeah.
be another blog, video, sales page.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. And so I think that the next thing that you need to do to create content that inspires action is to go back to what we talked about before, know what your goals are. What result are you looking to get? Leads, sales, thought leadership, awareness. Those are
Mhm.
all things that you can measure on some level.
Yeah.
And so I like to say that your goal plus your ideal customer's needs, their desires, plus your resources and skill for getting the content done is going to determine what form your content takes. So if it's probably not a good idea to do video if you don't feel comfortable doing video,
Oh,
because that's, it's not going to work.
yeah.
So you look at what your resources are for getting it done so you can be consistent and provide the value that people need to make their decisions.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
think, sorry that I'm jumping in, but I think one big thing, Kenya, you said so right, is about, sometimes, and actually most of the times, the content is not about us. It's
no,
about what our audience want. Because if we're not creating the content that they want, then what's the point of them coming to our website or following us or even reading our content? Am I right?
absolutely. And that was going to be my next point, because once you understand who you are and you're emanating from your why, then
Yeah.
you also understand the who you're targeting and create targeted content that I like to say provides the most relevant answer to the question
Mhm.
your visitors or your readers are asking. So, what is it that they're typing into the search engines? Number one.
Yeah.
But also just simply understanding who they are and where they are in terms of the buying cycle or the buying process,
Mm.
right?
The
And
making
though and
money part, right?
the money part, because I mean, you want to touch their souls, you want to touch their needs, their desires. You definitely have to hit that in order for them to connect with you. But you also have to have the reason part to it. And the
Mm.
buying process can start from the three simple steps of awareness, consideration, and purchase. I mean, it can be a lot more complicated than that, but you need to know, like, okay, what do they need when they first identify they have this problem, or they identify they want to start a business, or whatever that thing is. And then once they become aware, what information do they need to consider that? And I'll talk about that towards the end here. And then when they purchase, what information do they need to make sure that their experience, and that they go tell their friends and they come back for more. And the last thing that I'll add here to create actionable content is you have to have the call to action.
Yeah. Many of us out there forget about the call to action. What do
Um,
you want your folks or your audience to do? It's easy to forget that, right, Kenya?
It is. I mean, and that is what's missing from so many people's content. It's like, you have to literally tell people what to do. And you have to know what that thing is. And so adding those calls to action, whether it's a question, whether it's a button, whether it's a link saying, here, now that you've read or watched this great inspiring information and you're all fired up to do something about it, here's what to do next. You have to give them that. Otherwise, that measurable thing, being able to measure, none of that will happen.
Mm.
They'll just like it and move on. So make sure you embed those calls to action in your content.
It's just like watching a commercial, right? In a way, they want you to buy something. The infomercials, they're trying to get you to buy something, so they
Yeah,
have very specific call to actions, and that's I think a great even idea to even. That's why sometimes I like to watch infomercials because it kind of teaches us that you have to have call to action. That's the
yeah,
content, and what we want our audience to do.
yeah. It's a whole story. They take you through a whole
Yes.
story of, where you are and what your frustrations are and how this product will solve your problems, and you're so excited. But just imagine if they said, okay, this is great. See you later. You're like,
Very true. So
you know,
that's pretty much wasting the time. So um I agree, and in my opinion, it is very important for all of us, to create content so compelling, so inspiring that the right people respond, because otherwise people will be just like falling asleep and it'll sound like this. Right? Because who wants that, right? We want to create content that is, compelling, exciting, because otherwise, how are we supposed to grow our business, grow our following? Because that's that, like I mentioned earlier, it's not about us, it's about our audience. What do they want? And we create the content to fit them. So if you want some tips, and now we're moving on to tips, we talk about content that inspire action, and we're talking about measurable actions. So folks, so Kenya, let me ask you this, what do you have in your toolbox as far as tips are concerned for our folks out there?
Yeah.
They can do a good job.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things to do, but I'll leave you with this one because I feel like this is the most important one, and one that a lot of times we just don't focus on. And it's one I mentioned earlier, which is to understand the buying cycle of your audience. So, what questions need to be answered to meet their needs, desires, and challenges at each stage. And of course, you definitely want to mix in being entertaining, telling stories to really be able to capture that. But you want to know what people need at each stage, because that's going to tell you what type of content to create. So, and what I like to tell people is you do this for each of your products and services. And when you do that, you'll have all the actionable content that you'll really ever need. And it's really quite simple. So you have 3 stages of the buying cycle.
Okay.
Awareness. And this is the stage where people are kind of like, something's not right. I have a problem. What's my problem?
Do I have a problem?
Oh, I didn't know that was an issue. That's why I'm losing money. That's why I'm fat. That's why, whatever the case is, whatever you're selling. So making them aware, helping them, understanding what their issues are, okay? And then the second stage is the consideration stage. So now people are looking, they're like, okay, what do I need to do? I know what my problem is. I know that you exist to solve this problem. Tell me what I need to do. How can you help me? Who can help me? All right?
Yeah.
So you create content that kind of answers those general questions. These are just a guide. You'll probably find more issues and challenges to solve. And then finally, and think about how you buy, because we all go through this process. Purchase is the final phase. So at this particular phase, people want to feel good about their decision. They want to kind of, how you go and you're at the counter and you're getting ready to buy that shirt, and you're like,
I don't know, right?
Should I put this back? I really want to feel good about this. Okay, so that's the point where you want to create that experience, make them feel good about their choice, and reinforce that this is a great investment. And you create. Now, you can do that a lot of times in the awareness phase. It might take the form of doing some informational video series. Maybe you do a podcast. Maybe you give away some kind of free report. It really just depends. But just think about, okay, I'm selling this product or I'm selling this service, and these are the 3 phases that people are going to go through. What do they need at each phase to make a decision? And then you pull in that call to action and say, okay, in the awareness phase, I want to give them this report to sign up for my list. So sign up for this report, and then that measurable action is, okay, how many people are signing up for this report? And if you're not getting the feedback that you want, that tells you to say, okay, well, maybe I need to tweak it. Maybe I need to change it. Maybe I need to do more marketing. So it gives you information that you can act on to make whatever goal you're trying to reach happen, and, to draw your customers in. So understanding the buying cycle of your audience would be my tip.
Awesome. And thank you so much for that tip. All those tips, because they're all powerful, and I like how you actually break them down into 3 different steps. And one thing I think this just came up to my mind, just thinking about it, talking about, that's just all those steps to creating measurable actions, the call to actions. Do you think, in your personal opinion, that images also, if you're creating content online, especially whether it's video, whether it's blog, powerful images can also inspire action? Because I know if you have a boring image but your content is powerful, then it doesn't complement one another. What do you think about that?
I think visually, I think we're all visual, and I think anytime you can incorporate powerful imagery, whether it
Hmm.
be through a video and you can add that to your content, that is always going to make people look a little bit closer than maybe if you're just creating text. So anytime you can add images, I say absolutely go for it.
Yeah.
Even add that to your strategy. Every time you do a blog post, make sure you have some sort of compelling image or infographic to support it that you can promote around the web and drive people back to that particular asset. So absolutely, image is everything.
Especially, if you have call to action buttons, have those powerful images like question as colorful so that people are inclined to, like, oh my God, I want to click that button, right?
Hmm. I'm sorry, I had a mouthful of tea.
That's okay.
um,
I'm having one too. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Pictures, colors, all of that.
Hmm.
Wrap that around your content strategy because that's going to drive action much more effectively than just regular bland content will.
And folks, my tip, thinking about how to, in creating the call to actions, the measurable actions, all this, is awesome. But if you don't measure your, do tracking of how your content is performing, then you're also missing out, because it is crucial. Because in my personal opinion, when you create this inspiring content, you want to know if your content is really in results, right? And in order to do that, I think we have to track. It is very important for us to track those measurable actions, and track by, when you have newsletters, subscribe buttons, social sharing, leads, clicks. We can actually analyze them, and sometimes, or when you're on your website, you can use Google Analytics, for instance, to track, your content. And my thing, if you don't track your content, you will never know if your content is doing well or not, how it's performing. Then you will never know how to create that next content. Am I
Yeah,
right, Kenya?
absolutely. That's a really great point because like you talked about Google Analytics, and I know in my Google Analytics, I can see what articles get the most traffic, what articles are most popular, and that informs me. I can say, you know what, I'm going to make a product out of this particular
Yes.
topic because it's so popular. It gives you that information, so you definitely want to pay attention to the numbers. You want to schedule time in your calendar to sit down and look at your numbers.
Absolutely. And that's very important, because I've had to learn that the hard way sometimes, because you do have to spend some time to do it. You just don't want to sit down and do this, right? Because you will never know how your content is performing, and if you want to know your return on investment in your content, you have to track them. So basically, what we're going to do next is, I actually found this inspirational video, and we're talking about creating content, how we can inspire action with our content. So I love videos, and I found one video on TEDTalk.com. I don't know if you're familiar with Simon Sinek's TED Talk video called "How Great Leaders Inspire Action." The reason I'm talking about this video is, if we're talking about measurable actions, ideas, content that inspire action, Simon actually, is has done a great job in this video. And if you folks out there don't know who Simon Sinek is he's actually a leadership expert. I'm going to quickly share my screen so that I can show you who he is, and then where you can go and get, to check him out and get. This is our resource for you to check out his content, his ideas, because Kenya and I are going to share with you what we like about the video next. So this is Simon Sinek on TEDTalk.com. As you can see, you can actually check out the website. Go to TEDTalk.com, and you can just find his page, How Great Leaders Inspire Action, and you can watch the video here. And he talks about Kenya, did you get a chance to watch this video, or have you ever watched it before?
I did get a chance to watch the video, and I think it's fabulous. I have to go back again because it was just very, very powerful and on point. So I
Yeah.
got inspired watching it.
I know, because I'm like, wow, this is what we're talking about, content that inspire action and measurable actions. Um, and what I learned from this video, what one content inspired me was, gave me goosebumps actually, is he said, people don't buy what you do, but they buy why you do it. And he says the goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you want, but the goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. And we've been talking about experience earlier. You mentioned about creating content to the audience, and they need to have a good experience with our content, and therefore they will respond to us. And Kenya, if there was one content in this video that probably inspired you to take action, what would that be?
I love that because as we were preparing for this session, I looked at your notes and I was writing down my notes, and we had a lot of the same aha
Yeah.
moments. But the one that
Great people think alike. It's true, folks.
Woo!
Woo.
Yeah, well, one of the things I love that one that you just quoted, and I also liked people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Oh,
And he elaborated a little bit, and he said, what you do proves what you believe. And I
that is
just,
powerful.
yeah, I mean, I love that because I think a lot of times, I know for me, I struggle with that, and I actually had to rebrand because of it, because I was doing stuff, but I felt so disconnected from my why.
Yeah.
And it was like, what people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And it was like, I need
That's
to imitate.
deep.
Yes, you
Yeah.
have to work from your why outwards and just put on blinders. And that's what I loved about the Apple. He talked about Apple. I loved Steve
Yes.
Jobs.
Yes.
Um, and I think that, when you have that deep conviction, you just have to go for what you believe, and you
Mm.
have to, and the people that are meant to hear from you will flock to you. And that's how you break through the noise. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like all this stuff, people can find information anywhere. But if you can connect with that thing in them that those beliefs, those desires, and you can connect to their core. um, the rest is easy. The rest is
True.
easy. Yeah.
That's when they really, really respond to you. And I think, many times, often we marketers are so concerned about who do we want to really target. We make it such a big deal. Of course, it is a big deal, but it is how they respond to us. The people who believe what we believe, and the people who are going to buy from us because of our why are going to respond anyways. And that's why our job is very important, like you said, to go back to the why, because it's really, really easy to to forget about it, right? And if you don't believe it, your audience will not believe it either.
Absolutely. It reminds me of something Seth Godin said, and I believe it was All Marketers Are Liars. Um, I think it was him. It was either him or Guy Kawasaki. I get both of them confused. But
Uh-huh.
one of their books, there was this concept they talked about, in terms of, people have their worldview, and we spend a lot of time trying to convince people to pull them over to our side. But really, what your goal is to tap into their worldview. I mean, it's to tap into that belief system that's already embedded in them, and that they tell themselves what they need to tell themselves to take action. So it's a psychological thing.
Very.
But I think that what he talks about in this video is really organic, because
Yeah.
if you really are tapped into your why, then I mean, the millions of people who have that same why are going to connect with you on that fundamental level. They have the same worldview, so it's easier for them to, tune into what you're saying, and you don't have to try so hard.
True.
To me, this is the missing piece from what we talked about today. I mean, you have the practical element, but
Yeah.
that soul element, to me, is what really makes everything come together and work so beautifully.
And that, folks, is why we call it, content that inspires action. Because just watching the video just make me want to go back and revamp stuff, and I just want to do something so that, it complements what I do, and, hoping to, reach out more to my audience on more of a personal level where, we want them to believe what we believe, and we want them to buy because they believe what we believe too. So, folks, we're at the end of our show, and before we go, we just want to take a little bit of time to kind of tell you where you can watch our shows weekly, every Wednesdays. So I'm going to quickly share my screen and share with you. Let me quickly go to that screen and share with you where you can actually watch our shows every Wednesdays. Other than our social networks, you can actually go to our website. It's www.entrepreneursthatsoar.com, and you can go to this tab here that says Watch Hangouts, all right, and it's our blog. You can watch all our, Creative Chat Cafe shows here, and if you want to really, really skim through the information or the show content, you can go under categories and just look under the categories that we have there. And then I like to also invite everyone to join us on our Google Plus community. In our Google Plus community on Google Plus, it's a community where we actually take our post-show conversations to, hey, come on in, join us, and introduce yourself. Click on introduce yourself, upload a video, upload your website, and tell us, we're interested to find out what you do. So please, come join us. And Kenya, why don't you take a little time to kind of share with our audience where they can get in touch with you and where you would like them to contact you if they need to have any ask you any questions regarding content strategy and all that great stuff.
All that fun stuff. Yeah, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is .com. In the upper right hand corner, you'll see all the little social networks that I'm on, so you can connect with me there, of course, and talk to me there. You can also, under the contacts tab in the navigation on KenyaHalibert.com, marketing and freedom discovery session. That's 15 minutes, complimentary, just to kind of work through, what it is that you're trying to accomplish and what solutions that I have that can serve you. So you can either connect with me on social media and we can get to know each other that way, and then move to a deeper conversation from there, or you can schedule a complimentary chat session with me so we can figure out how to get your dreams and your business out there in the world in a big way.
Yay! Thank you, Kenya. This has been a great, condensed, compact show, right? Woohoo! Clap our hands. We did a great job. And folks, I hope you enjoyed the show and you also got some content ideas and probably, benefited from the show today. And if you have any questions, like I said, join us on in our community, on our social networks, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we're very, we're trying to get very active in the Google Plus community. So check us out there, and you can also make sure Google searches hashtag Creative Chat Cafe on Google search, Facebook, Google Plus, and Twitter. So folks, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Kenya, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for all your beautiful insights and tips. And until next time, folks, let's raise our mugs, and looking forward to the next Creative Chat Cafe Hangout. Until then, have a creative and productive day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.